I am one of 3 co-founders of Atelier Mayanja Ltd. We are a home fragrances product manufacturer. We are based in Kampala, Uganda. We were motivated to start our business because of the difficulty that we found during the lockdown. There was so much loneliness and there was so much monotony. Every day was the same. And the only thing that could relieve it for me at the very least was burning a scented candle. It would bring about some sort of change of scenery, at least mentally. And so we were fortunate that the lockdown found me and my sisters with scented candles purchased from the international markets already in stock. But eventually those ran out. And it was very difficult to import goods in from abroad during the time. So that was from our end, from a personal perspective. But at the same time, there was a lot of young girls, they found themselves in different sorts of danger, but this particular one, there was a lot of rape and defilement from their male relatives because they had no places to go. So, and we found that, at least the statistics that were coming out at the time, was that the young Muslim girls were the most affected. And so we wanted to have an enterprise that we could intervene in a small way, obviously. we did not have the resources for a huge intervention, but in a small way that we could provide an industry, that could start a home industry, that those young girls could come to our house and learn a skill, and it would also give them a place of refuge away from their male relatives who apparently were easily getting tempted. So we married the two together, a social enterprise and also something that we had found to be of value to us, which was the scented candles. So we put that two together and we started the scented candles business. Yes. Well, it's quite interesting because most people face the challenges of bills and rent and whatever, but we did not have that challenge, thank God. We found the challenge to be that this was a product that Ugandans, and despite the different social strata, were not familiar with. They were not comfortable with it. So we had to do a lot of teaching and a lot of what are they called? Usage videos. You know, this is how to use your candle. This is when to use your candle. So people didn't know what they were, and so we had to introduce them to the market. We created a product for us, really. We are our target market. We come from the mid to high-end, high net worth individuals classification. Is that a thing? Does that sound snobbish? Let's hope it doesn't. So the point was to make a product that I would be happy to purchase myself, that I would be happy to use myself. And so in that same vein, we did not take a product out to the market that we've not used ourselves. So we try it out. If we do not like the scent, we throw it away. Or we try to play around with it. So we are our own customers. So the idea was to look at myself in the mirror and look at my sisters who are my partners. I would say that I want to sell a product to you, and this is what you like, and these are the sort of places you frequent, and these are the kind of relaxation activities of which you partake. And so that was very easy. And I think we were lucky in that regard because I cannot imagine trying to create a product and put yourself into a sort of different headspace. But we just created something for ourselves, what we would like, and we took it out to the market, and the market responded. We are observant Muslims, and so because of that huge tenet of our religion, and which we also uphold, is no usury, no interest, no riba. So we cannot partake of loans, for example. And so we actually started the business with our own small personal savings. So we put in a lot of sweat, a lot of hard work, For a very long time, we would not get salaries. So we're putting in, we gave it our all to start. So we started with a modest amount of money from each of the three of us. But thankfully, like I mentioned, we did not have to cater for such things as rent and bills and whatever. So we could use our house to make the products. And so the only thing we had to do was to pay our employees. Ourselves would not draw a salary. So, and then we just, started pushing, and then the product, it just, everything we get, we plow it right back into the business. And so that's how we've managed to fund ourselves, as it were. Having said that, we would not turn down any sort of funding as long as it adheres to the tenets of the Islamic faith. Now, in as far as financial management is concerned, the three of us are a well-oiled machine, in the sense of myself, very good with the numbers and the strategic direction of the company, and Amira is very good with the production and operations, right? So she's in charge of that. And Yasmin is she's our marketing person, so she comes up with the branding materials and the like. But as the bigger we grow and the more products we introduce to the market and the bigger our sales base becomes, the more we've come to realize that it's getting a little bit too big for us. So whereas before I was in charge of our inputting our numbers and keeping our books, it's reached a point where I can't do that anymore. So then we outsourced to an accounting firm. What we are doing, and we've had opportunity to do that on 3 different occasions in the last month, is we've reached a stage where we hire people on a part-time basis. So, for example, let's suppose we've got a huge order and we've got to produce 1,000 pieces of scented candles, for maybe 300 for this wedding and 200 for that other wedding and whatever. Like the 29th of July was a crazy day because we had a family wedding and yet we were also working on 4 different weddings. So that was a crazy time. So what we do is we get temporary workers that come and they work with us, learn alongside our permanent employees. But then once the huge amounts of work or the huge load settles down, we let them go for a little bit, and then once we get busy again, we pull them in again. Unfortunately, we're not in a position to keep them full time. We're not yet that big. But on the other hand, we do not want to keep the work just for ourselves, right? So when we're very busy, we pull them in. And every time, usually when they come in, we would have introduced yet a different products on the market, so we'd also teach them how to do that product. The idea being to help skill them in a smaller way as we can. So sometimes you can be like, I need something for my hair, and so then we try to do that, and if it doesn't come out well, we don't do it. So there is a lot of products that we've not proceeded with because of that, because we didn't do them quite well. On the other hand, we do get a lot of inspiration from social media. We see what is going on out there in the world, in Sweden, for example, or in Switzerland, Angola, what have you. We see, we do a lot of work in the corporate gifting space, but so do we do a lot of work in the events giving space. That's for the personal weddings and graduation parties and birthday parties and the like. So and here in Uganda, people are very interested in the, I don't know what to call it, I'm going to call it some sort of lifestyle industry thing. So we see what is happening, right? I remember a few years ago, for example, people started going off for the traditional weddings, the traditional wedding ceremonies, we call them kwanjulas. They started going for them via helicopter, which I found totally absurd myself. But there are people who made money out of that, right? Yes, so we try to see where the trend is going, and now we can fit in with it. But I think perhaps I've been talking to you about individual customers, but then we've also got the corporate customers, we've got the hotels and the restaurants and the like. And so what we've been doing is perhaps creating for them signature scents, right? And then putting that in their soaps, putting that in their diffusers, in their room scents, and the like. Yeah, so we try to see where the lifestyle trends are, and we try to follow them, or sometimes we get there before everybody else. And then we also, but in as far as the corporate gifting space, it's, you just wait for December when they're giving away items, and then you do something, and after that we can change like packaging, and we can change the way the items are branded, just to make it a little bit classier. Every time I try to make it a bit more classy. Yeah. Also, which I try to tell Amira all the time that it's a form of flattery, but we have so much of our competition copying us. It's very irritating, but we can also recognize that we've set the standard, and they're trying to keep up with us. And so when we see that they've copied something and it's becoming ubiquitous on the market, so then we do something different. Perhaps the product is the same, but maybe the packaging will be different, right? So yeah, we try to distinguish ourselves. There are women's groups in Uganda, like the first one that comes to my mind is the HARP, Women's Working Initiative, I think it's called. It's set up by a lady called Natalie Bitatura. So it's pretty good with assisting, not so much us, but most ladies with funding, but also they set up these networking events, which we attend, and we meet like-minded people. We meet people who have achieved more success in business than we've got, and so we can pick their brains. And then there is also the Uganda Women's Entrepreneurship Association. I can't remember the L. It's called You Will. Yeah, it's a collective of women in business from all aspects of life, from all over the country. So they tend to put together meetings for us. They tend to put together workshops for us. So we attend those. Yeah. And also our own family members, big wigs in the Ugandan business scene, so they help us as well. Separate your personal and commercial and business finances. Yes, I cannot tell you how urgent a matter that is. Yes, separate your books. If you can't separate your mobile money accounts, and separate your bank accounts. I can appreciate that right now. It's much easier to do business in Uganda right now. The government, they've tried, they've not succeeded yet. I wouldn't say that, but they are trying to give us the tools to drive our businesses forward, to ease our businesses. There is a lot of stuff has been digitized. So it's much easier now, I think, than it would have been had I tried to do business in Uganda 20 years ago. And also, it's very exciting because of the common market. So doing business in Uganda could be as easy as doing business in Kenya and doing business in Rwanda. So I'm quite excited to see what we can see, what we're going to get up to with the common market. Presently, we've got a very small foothold in Rwanda. So we shall see, where that goes. But yeah, I'm much more appreciative of the Ugandan government now that I'm in business than I was before, when I was just a critic on the outside, when things were abstract. So I'm not a very satisfied citizen, but I'm a less belligerent and annoyed citizen now. So, yeah.